The motherboard is like the city where all the hardware lives and talks to each other. Every major part of your computer plugs into it somehow. The CPU, RAM, graphics card, storage drives, and even tiny connectors for the power button and USB ports. It has special slots and sockets designed for each type of component, so everything has its own parking space. Little chips on the board help manage things like sound, networking, and communication between parts. If you think of the computer as a team, the motherboard is the playing field and the roads that connect everyone. The CPU is the part that actually thinks for your computer. Whenever you open an app, load a game, or run code, the CPU is doing the math and logic behind the scenes. Inside the CPU package is an integrated circuit, which is basically a tiny slab of silicone with an insane number of tiny electronic parts. That integrated circuit is what lets the CPU follow instructions at high speed, like adding numbers, comparing values, or deciding which step to do next. You can think of the CPU as the brain, and the integrated circuit as the brain's physical, super dense network of neurons. The graphics card is the computer's art department. Its job is to take instructions and turn them into the images you see on your monitor. At the center is the GPU, which is like a CPU that specializes in drawing and visual effects. Instead of focusing on general tasks, it handles tons of small visual calculations at once. Perfect for games, video editing, and 3D work. Around the GPU are memory chips that store textures, frames, and graphical data, so the GPU doesn't have to wait on the rest of the system. If you like smooth gameplay, detailed graphics, or running multiple monitors, the graphics card is the star of the show. RAM is your computer's short-term memory. When you open programs or files, they get loaded into RAM so the CPU can access them quickly. The sticks of DRAM you plug into your motherboard are just little boards full of memory chips that temporarily hold this data. Nothing in RAM is permanent. If you shut the power off, it forgets everything. The more RAM you have, the more stuff your system can juggle at once without slowing down. It's like having a bigger desk. You can spread out more papers and work more comfortably. Storage is where your computer keeps everything long term, your files, games, and operating system, and apps. SSDs use chips to store data, kind of like super fast giant USB drives inside your computer. They're quick, quiet, and have no moving parts, which makes your system feel snappy when booting, loading games, or opening big projects.
Hard drives, on the other hand, are old school but still useful. They store data on spinning metal disks using tiny read/write heads that hover just above the surface. They're slower but usually cheaper per gigabyte, so they're great for mass storage like backups, media libraries, or big game collections. The power supply is the unsung hero that feeds electricity to everything. It takes power from the wall and converts it into the kinds of lower voltage power your parts actually use. Different cables from the power supply plug into the motherboard, graphics card, and storage drives to keep them all running. Right next to that responsibility is cooling, especially the CPU cooler. A water cooling setup uses liquid to carry heat away from the CPU to a radiator, where fans blow the heat out of the case. It keeps temperatures under control, which means better performance, less noise, and longer component life. The case is the home that holds all of your parts together. It gives you a solid frame to mount the motherboard, power supply, drives, and fans. Good cases are designed with airflow in mind, so cool air comes in, hot air gets pushed out, and your components don't roast. They also help manage dust, cables, and noise, so your setup doesn't look or sound like a mess. On top of that, cases add personality. Glass panels, RGB lighting, and different shapes or sizes let your computer look as cool as it runs.